Teachers, and you're listening to Show X Live with Ken in a student accommodation all the way in Scotland, and Wayne in his white windowless van? Uh-oh, I better get out of here. Enjoy the show!
All right, and welcome everybody to Show X on VTWProductions.com. You're listening live at 2 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. GMT on this Sunday, the 14th of May, 2017. And I guess I'll just start off and say, we'll fix it in post! Yeah, Sam got angry at us, so stopped, restarted, and hopefully it will play nice now, because WTF, Sam?
Yeah, it's certainly moving us towards the whole, perhaps we should do the show without background music thinking, because, you know, that would not happen.
I don't know, I'll figure things out. I need to maybe change the priority on it and make it a little higher priority. I already thought it was,
maybe the CPU.
But I don't know. That was just, it's like little random things where it gets mad for what I don't understand why, like WTF.
Crap yourself.
Anyhow, welcome to Show X, everybody, and want to start things right off by saying Happy Mother's Day. It is Mama's Day here in the United States, and for anybody who is listening to the pre-show, hopefully you caught that as I was playing all kinds of mother-themed music for you. Quite a odd selection, but yes. So with that, we are going
the least.
You know, things with mothers and stuff like that.
Technically, yes.
But we're going to go ahead and start things off with a little bit of
dysfunctional deviations.
All right, so this week on Dysfunctional Deviations, Ken, what have you been up to?
Well, first of all, I want to just give a shout and mention to everybody to say, last week we were aware that the show started off a little bit sad, and so this week we're going to do it twice as much.
If you thought that was sad, just wait. No.
Yeah, just wait. Just you wait. Okay, so first of all, palate cleanser.
Okay.
So my poor puppy, the one in the bed behind, the only one that is behind me, because the other one is still healthy. You may notice those in the video. Lie down. You may notice those in the video wall that there's a little white bandage around his paw, and it's because today I took him to visit my parents for the first time. So the first time my dad met him, and we went out for a walk, and it was all fine. He didn't once go in the lead because he's so good. He doesn't run away. He always comes back when we shout at him, etc. He's great.
Very nice.
He's also really dumb though. Like it's his breed, right? I'm not like making fun of him. It's just a fact, right? His breed are generally unintelligent. And like if you look at the stats for his breed versus my other dog has a 10 out of 10 stat for his breed. This dog is a 2 out of 10. So he struggles with commands, right? Like he gets them mixed up, like basic commands. Tank knows them inside out. He knows all of his commands. He may or may not choose to follow them, right? Because he's smart. He's like,
yeah, he can make that decision.
He's like, Dad's told me to stay, but I'm aware that Mum's upstairs, and if I go upstairs, maybe Mum will get me out of it because I want to play with her instead. And I know I'm faster than my dad, so I'll do that. And he runs really fast away from me, like little bastard. Like, but this guy, he's just like, I'm like, okay, Brutus, lie down, which is actually kind of appropriate right now because he's not. Brutus, lie down, and he'll often look at me like, I sit. I give you my paw. You know, I know you want something, but I really have no idea what you want, Dad. Because they're just like his intelligence there. So anyway, that's not really part of the story. He so we took him for a walk, and all was fine until we're throwing the ball. Unlike Tank, who doesn't at all play fetch, I don't think he understands the concept. He's just like, this is boring. Why do you bore me, humans? Brutus sees it as like the best thing. Like even when he is completely and utterly exhausted, like even if he runs back to you then falls over because he's so tired, as soon as you pick up the ball again, he'll be up. He will overcome his own fatigue just to play more rope. He is just the cutest thing. We're running around and stuff, and on the very last time I threw the ball, and it must have landed in like a dry patch of ground in this grassy field. And when he was running so fast towards it, super excited, and that in order to catch it, he realized that it had slowed down. So in order to catch it as quickly as possible, he had to slow himself down as well. So he just let go of his paws from the ground. In other words, he just sort of belly flopped onto the dry ground to try and slow down, I guess.
Oh, jeez.
And He seemed fine. He always does stupid stuff like that, like falling over the place. He's a puppy, right? He's only 2 years old. So he's just always kind of falling over the place. So I didn't think anything of it. But he ran back over to us and we noticed that he was covered in blood. Like, soaked. Like, I was like, what the hell? I quickly put him on the ground, like lay him on his back, started checking him over, and he had multiple mini injuries. So his chest was slightly scratched, his back elbows on his back paws were like had little cuts on them. One of his nails got chipped, and you could see the blood pouring out. And he was totally he was a real champion with all of it. He wasn't at all in pain until I touched his paw, and then he was like, no, don't touch my nail, don't touch my nail. Clearly, but he knows that I'm the daddy, so he lets me do it. He just whimpers, you know. He would never bite me. He just accepts it. He's just like, you're hurting me? Okay. You're the dad. You do as you need. I'll just cry. Which is kind of good. You don't want a dog to fight you back when you're trying to heal them, right? I'd rather be submissive than try to be dominant there. And then finally the worst part. Technically the worst part for him was the actual painful part was the nail, right? That part was the sore part.
Oh, that's so bad.
It's really sore. But the worst part that I was concerned about was his paw. So dogs have these pads, right? Those are black pads on their palm. Like the one of the like finger pads. So imagine your callus underneath your fingers, right? That was kind of like torn half off. Like it was like 3 centimeters, right? But it was bleeding a lot because the dog's pads get a lot of blood to them. I'm guessing so they can feel the ground and whatever, right? Circulation and such. So that was pretty concerning. So we got him back, cleaned him up. We cleaned out the wounds. He was very good. He just lay there and took it. He was great. We bandaged him, put a little plaster on the inside as well. And straight away I phoned the emergency vet. Being a Sunday, I was like, okay. I said to her, like, look, here's the deal. Online, I googled it quickly beforehand, and they said you must take them to the vet whenever they hurt their pads, just because you should. And I said, I want to make sure that's the case first. Like, do you agree with the statement, Mr. like Mrs. Qualified Vet? Can you agree? Can you tell me this is true or not? And she basically said, well, it depends on the cut. Give me more information. And I said, oh, it's like 2-3 centimeters across, like 0.1 centimeter deep. It's just a single layer of skin that's really been lifted up, but there's a lot of blood. And she was like, yeah, don't worry about it. That just happens. It happens to, especially puppies. How old is he? And I was like, yeah, he's 2. And she's like, yeah, dogs do that. They just get cut. Just make sure it's bandaged and cleaned and rebandage it daily. Don't let him walk in it other than for peeing, pooing, and eating and stuff. But it'll be absolutely fine. And I was like, okay, but if I were to take him to the in today, like into the vet, how much would it be? And she said, well, just to see him, it would cost £120, which is about $150 just to see him. Like nothing getting done, just for her to come in, right? And then she said, if we decide to do stitches, which would be the likely thing we do, because what else can you do with a cut, right? She said that would cost upwards of £500-600.
Yikes!
So altogether, with no medicine and no antibiotics and no bandages and nothing else, it would probably get to about £700. And I was like, yeah, I could afford that and then not eat for a long time in order to heal a cut. I was like, you know what? I've done what you would do anyway, which is just cover it up, clean it, and all that. So it's fine. I just used a first aid kit and my first aid knowledge is all good, and my parents helped as well. They did. My dad put the bandage on actually. So he's fine. He's absolutely fine. It's not been bleeding through. I've already rebandaged him once, and he's okay. He doesn't even know that he's wounded. He's just being himself. So you know, it's not even that bad. I'm just concerned that I just want the pad to heal properly, because it can cause lifetime damage. They've got so many nerves in there. It can cause a lot of damage if it doesn't heal properly. So I'm going to make sure it doesn't get infected. Is my number one concern. So I actually took the day off work tomorrow. Well, I'm working from home tomorrow just so I can stay home to make sure he doesn't bite it off and like then walk around bleeding everywhere. Right, that'd be the worst thing for him and the house.
Well, hopefully it's already mending, like it's already healing back together. Because
it stopped bleeding after half an hour, so that's a good sign. That's a good thing. It could be a lot worse anyway, that's for sure. So, but the poor puppy though. The poor puppy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was really scared to tell Kitten about it because I was expecting her to kill me. You hurt my puppy! Just because she loves him so much, and quite rightly too. He's a lovely little guy. Okay, so that was that. I kind of got a new job, kind of lined up. So I'm not leaving my PhD. It's another side thing. It's another teaching thing on the side. I have absolutely no plans to not finish my PhD. I will definitely 100% be doing that. Do not worry. But I currently do 2.5 hour sessions of teaching foundation computing to sort of pre-university students.
Okay. Yep.
And it's nice because it's nicely paid. It's a good program, and it's actually double the pay that I get at the university for the same job. So I obviously prefer doing this. So I cut down all my university teaching in exchange for this new job. I say new, it was like 3-4 months ago I started. But it was coming to an end in, 2 weeks' time. So I was like, crap. It doesn't start again until September. That means I'm going to be out of like a big part of a wage for a few months. Not ideal, right? So I decided I'd rather do something. So I got in touch with my effectively my manager at the current job thing, and he basically said to me, look, we don't have, the computing thing isn't running, we can't give you that. However, we're actually in need of a core maths teacher. So if you're interested, you're already inside the corporation, so there's no paperwork involved. You just start doing it, like in 2 weeks' time. I was like, oh, wow, that's nice. And I was like, okay, well, I know when I started this course that I'm currently teaching, I had to do like a ridiculous amount of writing. Like I had to write so much stuff to get up to scratch, like for the course. The course, when it was run before, it was run by somebody who didn't run it properly, and it was the materials were terrible and like poor English and just out of date stuff they were teaching. So I rewrote the entire course, the entire syllabus, and every exam and everything, and it took a lot of my time, right? So I said to them, like, is it actually a complete course? They're like, oh yeah, you would not be writing a thing. I was like, oh, wow.
Okay, nice.
Okay, fantastic. So I just said yes. I was like, yeah, sure. So yeah, I start in 2 weeks. And the thing I'm scared about is my math skills are not particularly strong. Now, I say not particularly strong. They're certainly able to teach core maths, right? Like, to me, not particularly strong means from a department that is effectively an applied maths department where I'm really good at the very specific thing that I do. Meaning I've got an okay oversight of, like, okay, I could probably teach university maths up to like second year maybe. Like, I'd probably be okay with that. And this is before that. However, I know maths is my general weak point when it comes to my job. There's something that I always have to like take time to read over very carefully whenever there's maths in a paper or anything, because I'm not particularly strong at it. So I was a little hesitant, but they sent me the materials, I looked over it, and I feel fairly confident. I will have to do some of it myself beforehand, which is not a bad thing, right? Being forced to do that is not a bad thing.
Well, yeah, best way to reacquaint.
Yeah, and plus I think any teacher should know the material inside out anyway, right? Like you should know it to the point where they're like, okay, on this question, there's something to do with, like, I don't know, how many grapefruits are the circumference of something on like that worksheet 3. You should be able to go, oh yes, that one, I know the trick with that one, I can help you, no problem right now. You should be at that level, right? It shouldn't be a case of, I don't remember, I need to check. That should never be ever be a thing. So I want to get to that level. But it's cool. It means I'm going to continue getting paid over the summer, which is nice. It's not, my main job does pay me, but you know, there's a difference between the basic student income for doing your degree, and then there's the like being a married man who wants to, you know, provide for a family, dogs, and have a nice home. That costs a little extra and a lot more of my time. So that's why I do a lot of extra teaching and stuff. So yeah, that's good. Finally, this one might take a little bit longer. That's why I've not got much for my deviation, so hopefully I can actually do this. In the past couple of days, I realized that for whatever reason, I can now post unlimited amounts of posts on the subreddit Ask Reddit. I'm guessing it's because my karma level's high enough. I can now ask a bunch of questions without being like before I had to wait 10 minutes in between posting, and it always put me off. But what I've been doing recently is I've been trying to ask more questions and Ask Reddit, because I realized it's effectively a way to say, you can ask thousands of people for their opinion on something that you find interesting, or their experiences or their thoughts on something, and you can find out what they think if they find it interesting, right? That's effectively what it is. And I was like, this is a really cool platform. So I wanted to start using it, and I have. Not in an excessive way. In fact, most of them only had like 3 or 4 comments, and that's kind of why I want to bring this up. So let's begin. I've got loads here. I'm not going to go through them all, just some of the ones that are more interesting. Some of them are a little bit sad, actually. Okay, if for some reason you had to change your name, what would you change it to? So I had like 12 replies, and I'm going to put each of these links in the IRC for anybody interested.
Rumpelstiltskin.
Well, we had Beeper, which was the highest rated one. Then we had Philip McCracken.
Aye.
Max Power Richard Girth. In other words, what's the nickname for Richard, right?
Yeah.
Taserface, which is apparently a reference to Guardians of the Galaxy, but I didn't get it. Stud McBigboy, Adam Thunder Richard, Lou Diamond Phillips, and Princess Consuela Banana Hammock. Isn't that Mean Girls reference? That's a Mean Girls reference, isn't it?
I thought it came off Simpsons or something like that, or one of those.
Simpsons? I don't know.
I think it's one of. I thought it was from some animated television show, but I forget specifically.
I've already googled it. It is from Friends.
Oh, is it Friends?
It's actually Phoebe. It's Phoebe changes her name to.
That's right. That's right. Okay. Wow.
I forgot about that.
That's right.
One. Another one. If you could bring back a resurgence of a fad, which would it be? And in fact, which is really annoying with this is I submitted this 22 hours ago, and then 6 hours later, somebody it didn't pick up much traction. It got 6 comments, but then after 6 hours later, somebody else said, "Which fad do you absolutely hate?" and got in the top 3, and he had like 25,000 upvotes or whatever. I was like, "You bastard! You stole my thing and just changed it." But anyway, if you could bring back a resurgence of a fad, which would it be? And the top rated one was common courtesy, which is quite interesting.
But that's not a fad. That was a thing.
No, but it's a nice look of society, I guess. Getting a job based on a degree and having a pulse. Just true, right? Back in the day, you'd go in a place like, "Hey, I'm willing to work for you," and then they'd be like, "Great, we'll train you, we'll get you ready." Like, cool, no problem. Like, hey,
you could come in with basically a degree and a willingness to learn.
Yeah, that's all it took. But that would not happen now. Somebody else said, "I love the long maxi skirts of the 90s. It was comfy and flattering on me." Somebody else said, "Yo-yos and yo-yo kiosks." And the last person said, "I'm digging the question," and he put "dig" in bold, referencing the old website Dig, I'm guessing.
Oh yes. Oh god, I would love to have Dig actually be worthwhile again. But then really, I'd rather have Dignation, their video podcast.
There was never any point when Reddit came out. Reddit just replaced it. That's why they lost so much traction.
Yeah, but no, it's more the podcast. I just liked hearing them talk about it because I loved.
Right.
Yeah, Kevin and Alex were awesome.
That's fair. I asked who accomplished their childhood dream and what was it. Any of these you want to answer, by the way, say in the IRC or send us an email. We'd be happy to hear all these, actually. Who accomplished their childhood dream and what was it? And the top comment was, "I always wanted to be a divorced, mediocre, chronic underachiever. Suck on that, life." Which I thought was pretty good.
Wow.
Somebody said, "I was a pilot for some time. It was and still is my dream," and that's pretty nice. And the other one didn't make any sense, so I'm not going to read it.
I'll say one of mine was to own a 3000 GT, which I do have.
Okay, that's cool.
It's a good thing I didn't say anything about like driving it, but.
Yeah, you meet the criterion technically. My dream was I had many dreams actually as a kid. For a long time I wanted to be a geologist. I don't know why. I just loved rocks. I thought they were cool. I was really sad as a kid, I guess. I wanted to be a firefighter for a little while because my dad was a firefighter. I wanted to be a pilot for like a day, I think. I wanted to be a doctor for a while, a medical doctor, right? That was actually the end of high school. I was thinking about that, but I was basically knocked down and saying like, your grades need to be perfect now to have a chance in uni. Like your grades are not perfect now. I was like, okay, fair enough. But at the same time, I'm becoming a doctor in something else. So at least I'm doing that, right? I'm still doing it to an extent, so I'm happy with that. But I love when people say that to me, like, is this the job you always wanted? And I'm like, oh yeah, I've always wanted to do like scheduling and rostering and meta heuristics and evolutionary algorithms and computing science and artificial intelligence. That's the field I wanted since I was like 3 years old. Like, who doesn't, right? Who doesn't want to do that?
Yeah, isn't that the first thing you thought of as a kid?
Yeah, obviously. I mean, like, that's the thing. Like, you'd have to just put under like scientist, right? That's the only thing you can really do, or like engineer maybe. You get one night to do as you please with whatever person you want. Who is it, and what would it be? So obviously I was expecting a lot of dirty answers. There was surprisingly few, actually. The top comment was Kim Jong-un. All I do is laugh at his country and talk about how the West is better in every way, then see the aftermath of my actions the next day, which I expect would be nothing. Which is quite a good point, because Kim Jong-un was educated in the West. Like it's not as if he's ignorant and thinks that that is literally the end of the world at the end of his shores. He knows fine well that the rest of the world exists, which is what makes him such an absolute bastard, right? Is because it's not as if he's doing this out of ignorance, and he's actually seen the world, knows it's not a bad place, and continues to be an asshole. Somebody said, my boyfriend, and going on a long road trip until the day is over, stopping at gas stations for food and drinks, and then staying in a weird rundown hotel. This is literally one of my dreams, lol. I was expecting at the end, because he died, but that wasn't there, thankfully. It was just, hey, I'd like us to do this, which was just sweet.
Oh, that's very attainable.
Yeah, just go do it, right? Somebody else said, Robin Williams, just to talk to him and hear his stories and play tabletop games and laugh my ass off. Somebody said, Leanne Crow. For sex. And I responded to myself as well. I commented here and I said, I'd like Andy McKee to hang out with me so that we can play duets of his songs and drink a few beers. I think that would be awesome. That's who I would choose. What about you, sir? Do you have a quick answer to that? Is there anything?
Well, there's such a variety and so many that are possible. The one of the ones that just comes to mind mostly because of the new movie that's coming out is Albert Einstein, just to sit down and like talk to him and kind of feel and hear like how he thought, right? Just
he was
to kind
crazy,
of talk
by
to
the
him
way.
And well, I know, but the brilliance that came out of it, right? Just to kind of see how that mind works and some of the people like that.
The dude was psycho. I mean, like he had so much incest, like all the incest. Little known fact, I wonder if he'll be in the film. I don't know whether it's going to be accurate or not, but he cheated on his wife constantly, and he was like with his cousin for a long time. Lots of weird stuff. The skill you are most talented at, did you become adept due to practice or natural talent? I got no responses to that one because they removed it because they said it was too vague. I don't know how it was too vague. It seems very particular to me, but it was a bot though. The bot just is, I suppose it didn't see the keyword and why at the end. So, what would you say is your number one like skill or number 1, 2, 3 skill?
So most recently, if I would describe anything, it's connecting people. It's being able to like start taking the massive network of people that I have that I know who are much more talented than I and start putting them together to make forces de jour that are much stronger than they are separate. So it's kind of just being one to take this being a nexus of all these different groups and actually use it for something.
Okay, that's cool. That's quite an interesting talent. I wouldn't have expected you to say that one. I don't know. I have a few things that I would deem my skills. I think probably the most obvious ones are the ones that we do as your profession, right? So I think my one would probably be Java. But I'm not that good a Java developer. Like I'm one of the better Java developers in my department, but that's not saying much because we're scientists, not programmers, right? We use programming and we teach programming, but we don't develop for the sake of development. We develop for specific tasks only, which is for our research, right? So I'm fairly good at some Java programming. Otherwise, I think the thing I'm probably most time into is probably either video games, which is not really a skill in my opinion. I mean, you can be skilled at it, but it's not a skill, I would argue, right? Like it's not, I don't know. It's more of a hobby. But I'd probably guitar. I'd probably say guitar, and it was both natural talent and a lot of practice. Like I was instantly better than most of my people. In fact, I'm not trying to be cocky here, but when I was in high school and we were getting taught guitar, I was the best in the class. Within like 3 weeks of us starting guitar, I'd finished the year. Because I was just naturally really good at it, and I was really interested and thought it was great fun, and so I just happened to be really good at the start. That slowed down over the years, right? Like I wasn't just the next Led Zeppelin, right? I wasn't just like barreling through the next Andy McKee. It was just a case of the first couple of years of stuff was really easy, and then my natural talent fizzled out, and I was left with practice, and that's what I do now. But yeah, that's probably my number one. Same with you guys. Send us an email. What's your number one talent and why? Was it just lots of time put into it because you love it, or was it natural talent, or both? I think it's always going to be both for most people who have a number one skill like that. Earth says, talent, skills, photography, ability to coach sports. Coaching is a big part of it, like being able to talk in front of crowds and control them and all that sort of stuff and encourage them. That's tough. So this next one is fairly sad. In fact, I nearly cried when I was doing it. I'll do that. I'll do the sad one last. When was the first time you felt old? What caused it, and how do you feel looking back now?
Constantly.
So I'll read it. I'll read a few of them. No, it's when it's the first time, not how often. When was the first time you felt old? You can't constantly have your first time of feeling old. You weren't born feeling old. Somebody said, when my daughter asked me what it was like in the olden days. Somebody else said, I went to a sold-out concert of 7,000-seat amphitheater, and there was literally no one in the beer line.
Wow.
When my sister had a baby, I'm too young to be an uncle. The first baby I remember being born, my younger cousin, is now married, which is a good one as well. I was 25 at a bar with friends and thought, I don't want to do this anymore. That's quite a good one.
Wow.
Yeah. Seeing people younger than me play professional sports, I haven't gotten over that one yet. And it's true, right? I think I've started experiencing that now too. I see these like amazing celebrities who are like really talented and like great musicians. I'm like, he's younger than me. That I've passed that point. I've passed that potential now.
That's nothing. That's a tinge at it. What makes you feel really good is when professional athletes retire who are younger than you.
No. Yeah, but most of them already have done that. Even me, right?
I'm just saying.
Mid-20s, they're done.
But that's another piece, because even like the longer playing like football athletes, American football athletes and stuff like that, the quarterback stuff who've gone on for years and years and years, where people are like, oh my god, I can't believe that this person's still playing, and they're 38.
Yeah.
And I'm yeah. So, that kills you, is when your aspirations are such that even if I suddenly felt amazingly talented, I couldn't even start now because I'm past when you finish.
Yep. Hey, dude, I imagine almost all of our listeners are probably past that age by now, which is it just shows how.
I see a fork in the IRC.
Okay, fair. I said most. Fork is not that age yet. Okay, there was a few. The last one. There's two more. The first time I reached a ride reimbursement at work, I don't really know what that means. Then the last one, which I responded to saying, "You're a beautiful person" to the person, because it was really sad. Said, felt really old when my mother was ill with cancer. She was diagnosed when I was 22 and passed when I was 25. It was a role reversal. I cleaned her PICC line, helped her use the bathroom, helped bathe her and hold her hair when she vomited, and held her while she cried. Told her it was okay to let go at the end when she was so afraid to leave me. Told her I was at peace and I wanted peace for her in mind and body. I really felt really old when I told the doctor to take her off life support on the day she died, and when I held her hand until long after her heart beat for the last time. It's been 10 years since she passed, and I feel much younger now in my 30s than I ever felt in my 20s. And I thought that was absolutely amazing, and a really, really beautiful. And I responded to it saying, "You're a beautiful person," hoping that it would bring a twinge of happiness to the guy or girl. And the other person who responded to him said, "Goddamn ninjas chopping onions." Which is,
okay, that's funny. I haven't heard that mentioned for yes. That's funny.
Yeah, I quite like that. I'll have to remember that. I had a few more, but I don't want to go too far into them. I've got another 12 here. I asked the question, what was the most incredulous film-like moment in your life? And I got two responses, but I gotta say, it was a really long story and it was kind of sad. It's like an essay though, and the English is really bad. I read through it, but I was like, I struggled, right? I didn't even really entirely get it, so I'm not going to read it out. And the last question I'll bring up for now was, which celebrity disappointed you the most, and why? We had Scarlett Johansson, because she wouldn't let me smell her feet. Okay. Chris Pratt, but we didn't explain why. And Kevin James, I heard he's a high maintenance ass. I won't even watch him anymore. So that was rather bitter. Which celebrity are you most disappointed in? Like, was there one that you really liked that eventually you hated for whatever reason or anything like that?
Oh gosh, what was one? It rarely does, because I don't know any of these people, and they're not reality to me. Yeah,
I know what you mean. I'm very similar to that in that respect.
One of them is I'd have to go confirm it again, because I just read something that kind of said that I want to say it said that Will Smith is a Scientologist now.
Okay, that would be
something
pretty depressing.
which to me to agree is just like a, but otherwise I've tended to really respect him and think he's cool, even though I've thought he's made some poor decisions here and there with his child. But if that is true, I was kind of like, wow, never mind.
Yeah, I'd say the one that I probably got most of, well, any celebrity who turns out to be a pedophile, right? Like, I think one of the ones that actually hit me the most was probably the Lost Prophets singer. What's his name? Ian Watkins. Even when you Google his name now, you'll just see the picture of him getting arrested. And if you hear the stories, like, it was horrible. Like, he frequently would try to steal away babies from, like, the set and stuff where he was working.
Yikes.
Horrible. Like, a horrific pedophile. Like, really, really bad. Like, not just like, there's a difference, right? You can be like the kind of, okay, there's multiple different versions of pedophiles, right? You can have the kind who
I don't know if I really want to get in depth of this on this show, but okay.
I know what you mean, but like, okay, like, I've just mean, like, there's a difference between somebody who has those urges because they were just born that way, they can't help it, but they choose to repress and control themselves, and they're just normal functioning members of society, right? I have nothing but respect for those people. They're great. Good for you. You have something inside you that wants to hurt people, but you hold it back. That is nothing but respectable. Nobody can ever disagree with that, I don't think. Like, that is entirely respectable, right? You can't help the way you feel sometimes, and if you feel that way but you control it, you should be rewarded, right? You are fantastic. Good for you. Then there's the people who look at stuff online. That's horrible and often funds these kind of disgusting practices. However, it's not quite as bad as the last and final step, which I don't need to say, right? So I'd say there's those sort of three tiers where the first one is not bad. It's actually a good thing. And then there's the next two, which are different levels of bad. But this guy was, like, took the worst tier to the next level. He was... like, he deserves executed. Like, horrible dude. Horrible. He abused his power. He abused his friends, his relationships, his status as a celebrity, in order to do this weird crap. And worst of all, the worst thing for me was when I used to love his or their song, A Town Called Hypocrisy, which just said is completely different to me now. Completely different meaning to me now. That whole song. It used to be this just really catchy song that I just really enjoyed, and that was about it. Now it's, if you watch the music video, it's the lead singer with like 15, 20 preschool kids dancing around with him on this like kids TV show set. And there's a few times where he's like dancing really close to them, and like, you wouldn't think of it as a sexual thing normally, but then you know what he's like. And then you suddenly it's like a horror movie. A Town Called Hypocrisy. If you watch that video, you will be absolutely mortified now knowing what that guy's done. Horrible. And he like, I wasn't disappointed in him as a sense of like, oh, he's sold out or anything, you know? It's just like, you are actually a disgusting human being. You are horrific. And so that would be my answer to that one. Okay, that's enough of enough of that. Sorry, a bit of a random spiel there, but yeah, so I've been having fun on Reddit with a bunch of different questions. The Ask Reddit stuff is cool. I'm going to keep trying to do it and see if there's anything particularly interesting that people find interesting. If you're interested, I'd be on Reddit to see these things. You can do so. I'm Ken Reid, Kenreid. Feel free to add me. Sir, what have you been up to in the past week?
All right. Oh, what a week. Well, first thing I'm going to say is, for those watching the video feed, I've been playing around. I ordered a bunch of junk to see if I could adjust things. So you can notice that you don't necessarily see my entire basement behind me right now. And that is because I put up a screen to try to reduce that and make it so that I could, have a more clear background. I liked when, Ken, you were sitting next to the green wall and how it would just give a nice effect there. So I tried. Now, granted, this is a fairly inexpensive green screen type setup behind me. It's just on some rods, but it worked enough that I can at least go in there and like, oh look, I can now do the things like you cool. Can and do chroma key and such to some degree. You can notice the edges aren't quite working there because it doesn't. With the angle of the camera, like the edges don't fully cover down there, and so a little bit of it still shows. You can kind of see it waving there. But yeah, just kind of looking at some options there. And I have another one I actually got for my room upstairs whenever I finally go back to the office that hopefully will work even better. I think it's a nicer one. This was just could I freestand something in the basement that might work? kind of thing. And so it was something to play
Sure.
around. And so we'll see. And at least it does something. I'm going to play with it some more. Maybe if I do any streaming or something like that, pull away. So I thought that was kind of cool.
That's cool.
So that was one thing, and I like that. So on to my week. All right, so pretty much starting from right after last show, I ran out and have had quite a busy week. So on Sunday, I finally went and got the opportunity to officiate the wedding for my two friends, Patrick and Jamie. Where the prior week we had gone up to so, but family wasn't all available to actually witness. This last one, right after the show, they were, and so I got dressed up and was able to go and marry two of my good friends, which was very nice. After that, came back, and then, what was it, Monday night, I want to say it was, that my computer decided to freak out on me. I was trying to, it might have been Tuesday, because I would have done martial arts on Monday. So Tuesday, my computer freaked out on me. Constant issue I'm having with USBs, and I think it's from having too many audio devices plugged in at once. And beyond that, I think I may have narrowed it down to it being my Logitech wireless headset.
Okay.
Because when I'd plug it in, I'd get a message that it was disabling effects on or something. But before that, it showed up as just a two-dimensional headset, so just a regular stereo headset. And I know it's a 7.1, and I was playing this beta I've been messing with and wanted to see if the surround sound would help me. So I installed the actual Logitech drivers, at which point it started giving me an error that extra features in the Logitech driver weren't working, and would you like to keep using it? Yep, fine. Well, then when I went to start editing the show, opened up Audacity, and the computer just blue screen, which has happened in the past for things like that with audio devices. I'm just now thinking it might be the headset's drivers from Logitech and not some of the other things. Because originally I stopped using my Yeti mic because I thought it was causing those errors. Now I'm not sure, so we'll see. But so right now it's not enabled or plugged in. But anyhow, the problem is when it did that, it actually corrupted my USB 3 drivers. Or it didn't really corrupt them, it's so that it disabled them in Windows due to the error. Which the challenge is when you're running a USB keyboard and mouse, when you go to start Windows again, you don't really go very far when you can't interface Windows.
Yeah.
And so I looked on my phone, did some research, and found out, yep, there is a way. You just need to get a PS2 mouse or a converter type thing, or a PS2 mouse keyboard setup or whatever to try to do it. Which thankfully my motherboard still has a PS2 slot on it or connected.
Nice. That's old school.
And I have back in my storage area in the back a whole slew of old computer parts, because yay for me hoarding. And so I went back there and started digging around trying to find my old PS2 keyboards, which I eventually found. But in doing so, as I walked back there, I happened to glance into my sump pump pit for the basement, where the little lower areas that you monitor to see if there's any water encroaching through the ground, and noticed that there was. And the water was maybe 6 inches from going over the bottom of my floor again in my basement.
Shit.
And I looked and said, oh, well, that's not good. I've dealt with my basement flooded before. I'd rather not do that again. So thankfully, I had already in the past, because there is so much water that comes into my sump, into my house, had gone and grabbed another sump pump online and was ready to go. And I noticed that the one I had in there was not working at the time. So I fumbled around and eventually got to yank it out of there, and it looked a bit of a mess. So I was like, oh, well, that's not good. And then ended up having to drop the new one in there, but I had to run to the hardware store real quick, get some more parts to connect it, since the old parts were kind of too gummed up to get off of the old pump. So got it all put in and sorted and going before the flood got above my floor again. Because that would have been a heavy mess, and I didn't want to deal with that again, so thankfully.
So what's causing it exactly?
So the big things is that I am at a point where I get a lot of runoff groundwater from around the neighborhood, the way it comes through. So the water table in the soil below me is pretty high, and water just bubbles up through the ground. Normally, this wouldn't have been an issue, and wasn't for the first 7 years of owning my house, in that it had a separate underdrain that connected to kind of the main sewage areas that went and helped reduce how much water would pool around any of the houses in the neighborhood. The problem was this underdrain that was built by the original builders in this neighborhood was never disclosed to the HOA, to the group that actually runs the neighborhood. And so there was no understanding that they needed to maintain, check, or monitor it. And so in doing so, they didn't even know it existed. And so, fall of 2013, when the floods happened and I was out at NDK and got flooded, was the time that basically bubbled up and became a problem for everyone.
Jeez, that was 4 years ago. Oh my god.
And so that came up. That's when the flooding happened, and then we learned about it after the fact as they did some research about how many homes got flooded all of a sudden. Because prior to this getting clogged up and failing, my sump was dry for almost 7 years, where there was never an issue with water. We check and there's nothing in it. Well, whenever it got blocked up or something, it failed, and now water started coming up. Our HOA went after the developers who built the stuff and actually won recently a settlement. That was like $13 million or something. But the challenge is that's not going to help us in the near term because that's enough money to start researching how to fix the issue. And eventually, and don't know how many years from this, they may actually get it resolved for the neighborhood. And so at the moment, it's still I have to monitor and manage it myself.
So can't you or anybody else sue the people who didn't?
That's what the HOA did. That's what the HOA did. And they won.
But you're the one that's losing out on money here as well, though, right? So
I don't know. It was part of the thing to try to fix the neighborhood. I need to perhaps talk to HOA and just see if they can direct to fixing the area around me faster. But anyhow, regardless of that, I've put a mechanism in there to help avoid it. The challenge is every spring when it gets very wet, it gets very active. The sump runs all through the year. Whenever there's extra water coming out of anything, snow melt, things like that, it still runs almost 24/7, like on and off. But it had been fine for the longest time, for basically 4 years off that sump pump. And then as the water kicked in again, we got a lot of rain, people started watering their lawns, things like that, the water flow increased significantly. So in doing so, I didn't notice until I checked it and pulled out the old pump, put in the new one, got fixed. And then it wasn't until the new pump, I came the next morning when it had cleared it out, and the following evening, I checked and the water was filling again. And I was like, what? So I yanked out the pump again and found a rock lodged in it. And the reason being is a lot of debris gets pulled in through the sump as well. The way it flows in, enough water flows in to pull it. And I haven't properly mounted the pump in there. I have it suspended so it's above the ground so to pick up less rocks. But it doesn't have a cage really around it or anything to avoid rocks from gathering on it. Or to try to get up in the mechanism, so there's a risk of it, and I've adjusted the height some to try to avoid it more. But it did get a rock lodged in it, which had stopped it. I yanked it out, unplugged it, was able to dislodge it, put it back in, and keep it going. Went and checked my old pump, and sure enough, that was what had happened to it. It looks like there was a rock lodged in it as well. And so I need to work on getting a grate or something to fix it. Anyhow, so, yep, I avoided it narrowly. Thankfully, I had most of the stuff. Just took some time and rushing around to keep from flooding my basement again. So woohoo, succeeded there.
That's a win.
Beyond that, I've talked about before. I've been fighting with the fact that that my phone's battery is basically a joke. I did have the opportunity. I went by Apple Store down at the mall, and they suggested I checked it out. Ability for them to do a remote check of the phone, like a diagnostics, and they did the diagnostics, and sure enough, came back and said, "Yep, your battery is done." It is not maintaining any capacity compared to what it should. And so they have an option where I could have them repair it. And that's part of the conundrum I'm now running into, where I ordered a kit online, assuming that was the issue, for like $20, I think, to replace and fix it myself. And I asked them, well, how much would it be for you to do it? Because I was a little concerned, thinking, well, this will be $150, $200, right?
Yeah, what's the point? Yeah.
Well, they came back and said $80 to do it. So now I'm kind of stuck. Like, I have this kit already coming to me that I could try to do it myself for $20 that I've already spent. Or I could spend an additional $80 and have Apple do it. And so I'm not decided yet.
I know which one I'd probably do because, you know what? It's an expensive device. I'd rather spend a little bit more and it'd be definite than to spend a little less.
Well, and that's a lot of my thoughts. Part of me has this little bit of like, well, if I fix it myself, I know I could have done it and this and that. But another part of me like, or if I just want my phone to work and at least hold me out until another version I want to come out does, maybe I'll just pay the $80 to do it. And so that may be the option I go with. I just have to schedule a time that I can be without my phone for a couple hours and still come back and get it. And so that may be the option I look into, but it threw me for a pause where I was like, dang it. So got to figure that out. All right. So at least figure that out. We'll figure out what to do with that, things like that. Then what was it? On Wednesday, I finally killed my cat, so she's gone. And then on
I'm so sorry, dude.
Thursday,
it's really horrible.
It was happening. I finally gave in to the pressure of everybody telling me to be better about it and said, screw it, fine, and did it. And I will tell you, it wasn't easy. Probably the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. And at that day specifically, I hated everyone and everything. But I'm past that and moving on. And also, on Thursday, I got to say farewell to a friend of mine who's moving out of town that I may not see again for a long period of time. I was happy I at least got to see because I think she's out of town on Wednesday, moves out east. So I was happy to be able to do that. And then on Friday, I went and saw Guardians of the Galaxies, but I will talk about that in Geek Cred. However, while watching it, getting ready to watch it and things like that, I also had to spend the majority of that evening and afternoon rescuing a friend of mine's wife. One of my buddies took a job out east about 6-8 months ago, but in doing so had a very nice house here that was having trouble selling, and in doing so left his wife and kids out here to keep going for the kids to go to school and for her to keep working on the house trying to get sold. And in doing so, he's been working out there and such. Well, finally, recently, they got the house under contract and it was ready to be sold. Challenge ran into is that they went through some machinations from it, and in doing so, suddenly the date for closing got moved up significantly, probably like 15 days, almost 2 weeks, where they had to be suddenly out of the house, his wife and kids, by yesterday. And so to get it all set up, they got a moving company to get ready to move and pack them. And on Friday, they had the movers there packing stuff. I actually stopped by that day to pick up potentially an extra table for the Game Fest layout because he had some of the old Game Fest tables type thing. So I was going to go pick one up from him. Unfortunately, couldn't find it that day, but I saw how they were packing, and they were doing a great job. The back of this truck was master-level Tetris, where they had things put in every little crevice and crack up to the very top of the truck, of the semi-back, and it was just... I was impressed. There were still a lot of things in the house, and they were actively moving, and they were running out of time that day for light and stuff like that, so they're going to come back the next morning on Friday. I went on Thursday, they're going to come back on Friday. Friday, they came back doing stuff, and then while I was getting ready to go to the movie, I get a message from my friend saying, "Hey, could you talk to my wife? We've had an issue." And in doing so, apparently what happened is that semi that they had rented, or the company's truck, ran out of space. It was packed to the brim, absolutely no more room for it. And
I thought you were going to say it's set on fire or something. That's not so bad.
But for them to now get room enough to move everything else out, they would either have to rent another truck from them, which would have cost like another $3,000 or more to get another moving company or thing to do it, or somehow get all the things out of there. And so I then spent much of the time, somewhat while watching the movie and afterwards, coordinating local resources, myself and basically my cousin, and the next day another friend of mine, to Spencer. We got a U-Haul truck rented, and picked up the U-Haul truck, came down, and my cousin and I loaded everything into the truck. So the house was cleared out so they could turn over the keys the next day. His wife had to spend some time cleaning and doing some other things and filling up her car with a bunch of stuff. But essentially get everything cleared out. Stuck the truck in my house for the night, and then yesterday morning took it to a storage unit and unloaded everything in the unit because his family's not going to leave for another week and a half or so the kids can finish up with school and everything like that. But so kind of that my Friday night consisted of doing right by friends and making sure that his family was sorted. So that was good.
Good for you, buddy. That's nice of you to spend your time that way.
And then finally, I would say last night, I spent a lot of time hanging out with my good friends Matthew and Undine, who I've only known now for basically a year from convention life, but have really gotten to know very well. They're the couple that are doing Zenko Akko Cosplay that are working on my Tales of Zestiria group costume thing that we're going to do at the beginning of next month. Down in Fort Worth, Texas, that we're going to do a group cosplay of. And so I've been spending a lot of time with them in the last couple weeks here trying to get all ready for the costuming, where I'm not making anything for this costume because this is Undine setting things up for going into the Master's class or Master's Edition level of cosplay.
Sure, yeah.
and she's doing all 6 of our costumes for this contest. The only one that she had already pretty much done ahead of time was her husband's character, because he's doing Sore, and she had done that for a few other things, but that was kind of it. I think she had started one of hers, but then the other, what was originally 3 of us, she was doing from scratch herself, and then she had kept commenting that she didn't have a full group because there was one other character she wanted done, one of the main characters, Mikleo. And so I mentioned one of my friends who's a cosplayer. I was like, well, I'm sure this person would probably be willing to jump into the group. And she's like, really? And so I got them connected, and sure enough, joined our group.
Well done.
Challenge being, that was all of like a month ago kind of thing. And that meant now we added another costume for Undine to make in this time frame. And so she's going through stages of like the condition of all 6 costumes at once. And so to help her, I wanted to make sure to be available for her to do measuring, cutting, and changing things. Because a lot of the techniques she's coming with are kind of on the fly, what she's doing to create these costumes. And I was just like, woo! So I spent, what was it? I don't know if I mentioned it last week when I went there. I basically almost passed out the first time I got measured with her, because I hadn't eaten anything in the morning, had run straight to... Actually, this was on Friday, so I hadn't mentioned it. I had gone... Yeah, was it before? I don't know. One of the days I'd gone over there, and I hadn't eaten anything in the morning. Had run straight to her place. Yeah, it was Friday, and got measured and such like that. And I was standing up long enough without any food or water. I mean, it was kind of warm up at where she has her crafting done, that I basically almost just fell out. There was a point where I was like, I think I need some water, and I was like, and I'm going to sit down right now. Could you please not poke any pins on me for the moment? And no more had I like sat on the ground, then I felt the whole world go woozy. And I didn't pass out, but I was like, if I had tried to power through that another 30 seconds, I would have done a face plant onto somewhere in her craft room.
Which would not have helped, I don't think. So well done. Knowing your limits is good.
Not likely. Yeah, no, I recognized it in the nick of time and saved myself. Now, anyhow, I've spent several hours and hours and hours over there getting measured and pinned, because she's basically making this costume on the fly out of all just raw materials, and doing some cool things with it to make it fit just right and do what she wants to do. And it's coming out beautiful, so I can't wait to check this out. But in doing so, one of the other challenges, not challenges, it's an amazing challenge, is that whenever I find myself hanging out with Matthew and Undine, time seems to disappear. And so I went over there yesterday to help get measured again, expecting to do an hour, maybe 2 hours. So I'd gone over there probably about 3 in the afternoon. And then afterwards, I was going to go hang out with D&D group to kind of talk through some stuff they wanted to plan for another thing. And got messages from my cousin saying, hey, were you coming? I was like, I'm still getting pinned. And I was standing there with like needles and stuff all being put into the costume I was wearing to get like the next pieces attached. So I was like, I don't know if I will. And then afterwards, which we spent some time getting, basically the pants are almost done now, which is really cool. But then we just started chatting a bit, because while we're doing this, we talk a lot of anime and things like this. And Matthew and Undine have seen a crud ton of anime. And as we were talking about it, as we were sharing stories and things like this, we ended up talking about all these different things about life in the universe and everything. And I didn't leave their house until 3 in the morning this morning.
Jesus, dude.
Well,
hey, that's a sign of having good friends. That's really nice.
It really is, and they are really cool. And it's funny because we talked back to when I first met them at WasabiCon, or it was one of the anime conventions last year, and I first got introduced to them. They were just randomly like, oh, hey, and we started chatting, and we spent, I think we did the math that day, at least 8 or 10 hours talking at a convention instead of going around and hanging out with other people. Like, the 3 of us just sat and just talked for like 8 hours or more. And
nice.
The funny thing was all these, like, the people that introduced us had kept coming back like, oh my god, you guys are still talking, and would leave again, and then we're like, come back again, and we're just like, what? And then we all went and got dinner.
They did a good job of networking you guys as well.
Oh, it was actually one of the best connections I've run into. So that was how I spent like all of yesterday, which was kind of out of what I was planning to deal with. So yeah, that was interesting. But anyhow, so that's basically been my week, and it has been a busy, continuous week.
I can only hope the next one improves for you, sir, because...
Why'd you do that?
It sounds like you had a lot of good stuff on as well, but there was also a lot of bad
Lots
stuff.
ups, downs, lefts and rights, so just a lot of stuff happening, but there's that. Anyhow, so it is time for us to take a break, and we will come back and start talking about some Geek Cred and what we've been doing, as well as if any of you want to participate during the break, throw in some emails to either participate with what your Geek Cred has been, or questions or comments on anything we're talking about on the show. Please email in at showx@vtwproductions.com, and we will read those after the break. But I'm going to play another song, and this is only slightly themed in the Mother Day kind of theme, in that this is another OC remix song, one about Mother Brain, because that's motherly. And so we'll be back right after this song from Breckett 007 Super Metroid Mother Brain Suite from OC Remix. You're listening to showx@vtwproductions.com, and we'll be back right after this.
Send in your emails to showx@vtwproductions.com. You're listening to Show X books on btwproductions.com.
Because who doesn't like a mother like Mother Brain? But welcome back to the show, everybody. And it's time for us to kick things off with our...
I'm a geek. Are you a geek? Geek Cred, level up!
And I will go ahead and start off things on Geek Cred this time as partially a follow-up because I was talking about cosplay and Tales of Zestiria. Well, much like everything else when I try to get ready for costuming and such, I've been studying, and so I picked up and was able to get hold of Tales of Zestiria. Found it on sale. I want to say it was on Humble Bundle Store. And so I got it for like $12 or something like that. And so I've started playing it, as well as I was trying to watch the anime a little bit as well. Tales of Zestiria, like X or something. Essentially just follows the game directly. And so from what little bit I've watched of the anime, it was the exact same initial scenes of the game. I was like, oh, well, look at that. But mostly so I can try to find each of the characters, learn how to pronounce their names, how they interact with each other, so I can be prepped to play my character.
Cool.
So I've started playing it, and it's been a long time since I've sit down and played like a true RPG. And so this one's interesting, and I'm hoping... so far, I'm enjoying it, and I hope to continue. And it looks nice and pretty on the PC. And so, I'm enjoying that so far. We'll see how it continues. Beyond that, I've still been watching a lot of Pokemon Indigo League, the first Pokemon series for television. Trying to, again, get ready for my
The
Brock
cringe
cosplay.
fest.
Not as bad as you'd think. I mean, it has a lot of cheese in it, but at the same time, I chuckle because of how many things they do that are like openly talking to the fact that it's a show and talking to the audience. They break the fourth wall a lot in it, which is entertaining. As well as it's fun just seeing some of the little nuanced differences between things. One of the ones that actually bugged me a bit is that whenever they have a time where they stop to eat, the main crew, they pull out, rice. Unagiri? Unagiri, essentially rice balls? Yeah. And in the show, they call it jelly donuts.
Yep.
Every time.
Doesn't that entirely appeal to the American in you?
It annoyed the crap out of me. Because it was like, do they think so poorly of American audiences, and especially kids, that we couldn't imagine people eating rice? Like, what? What is this thing that you have in your hand? A rice ball? It was so silly, and I guess
it's
just
a little
their
boiling
decision.
and it's actually kind of racist towards Americans, which is a weird thing, right? It's just generic. It's like us assuming that, it's like us taking somebody eating like a cheeseburger and changing it to, this rice ball is really good.
Well, it's anything that makes you feel
Dumb.
like they didn't respect their audience, right? Oh, our kids are too dumb to understand that a white thing with a little bit of seaweed around or something might be something other than something we eat. It blew my mind that they do that. And the first time I saw it, was like, it confused me because I was just like, jelly donut, what? And then there's another episode, I want to say it's the Squirtle Squad episode, or one of the ones where they just like went nuts over how often they said jelly donut constantly in that episode because they were sitting there eating lunch or whatever, or it was the Mankey one, whichever episode it was. But that bothered me because I kept seeing it like, that is not a jelly donut. And it makes me feel like, what, are Americans so fat that all they could be eating is jelly donuts all the time? It's just so dumb, so dumb.
To be fair, it's also pretty bad assuming that they do that. Like, I don't know why they just eat rice all the time as well. That's a little weird too. Like, why would you just?
But that is
rice?
At least that is like a common lunch item in Japan. They have a little bit of onigiri and such, so
True.
That's fine, right? It makes sense. It's culturally accurate. It's just sad that we don't think that some producer or something at the time didn't think that, non-Japanese audiences couldn't handle, that would break their reality or something. Wait,
fair,
this isn't an American cartoon?
In the IRC, copy claims that rice balls didn't exist in North America back in 1998.
That's not true.
And that they did that same thing with Sailor Moon as well, where they pretended.
Well, I'd be curious. What did they call it then? Did they also call it jelly donuts? That the tiny little schoolgirl-aged ones that were super thin and such were able to eat nothing but jelly donuts all the time and maintain that figure? Because that helps, young kids. But it's just silly to me. So that kind of caught me off guard. Let's see other things. I did go see Guardians of the Galaxy finally on Friday. I really wanted to see it because I was trying and hoping to avoid spoilers. because I think I don't know how long people are going to allow it to go before they just start saying everything. And I'd already seen a couple little things online, but I didn't have a reference, so I figured no big deal. And some of them were just kind of jokes and reference stuff. So I really didn't feel bad. I didn't feel like anything was spoiled for me. I enjoyed it. And now the challenge is I can't say if I enjoyed it more or less than I probably could have. I was somewhat distracted by coordinating things for my friend for the moving and stuff during the movie. And so I didn't go into it where I was just concentrating on the movie. And that took away a bit. But I still thought it was a lot of fun. And it was interesting to me because this one didn't, for once, feel like it tied as directly into or progressed the storyline of the overall Avengers series and Infinity War series with Thanos and such, that this didn't progress any of that actual like overarching storyline. This felt like its own just standalone movie, which was kind of surprising to me because I thought they were going to use every opportunity to prep for when everything comes together for Thanos. So that was a little surprising. What else can I say? The visuals on it were gorgeous. It was a lot of an extension of the first Guardians of the Galaxy, so if you enjoyed the first one, you will likely enjoy this one. A lot of the same kind of humor and jokes and throughout, although a bit different. I liked the characters that were in it, the villainy and stuff, and how they kind of played it worked, and they expanded, if nothing else, the universal Marvel universe, the outside of Earth kind of things, a little bit more. Not immensely, but they added to, and actually had some little tidbits here and there that were great that showed off things that you know about as a comic book fan, but they've yet to show in a Marvel movie before. So that was kind of neat. And they were just like little clips and stuff like that I thought were a lot of fun.
That's nice. It's like nice they do that sort of thing. Yeah.
So I enjoyed it a lot. This I do recommend for anyone who's a fan. Essentially, go check it out. A little disappointed. While this one still had good music, I don't think it was nearly as epic as the original one's soundtrack. Because that one was just phenomenal. Every time they brought music into it, this one still had a lot of music, but it wasn't great. And so
you couldn't live up to it, right? You can't live up to how good the first one was because it was just like the perfect collection of music in a way. So
it was awesome. So this one was still good. But it was kind of like, so, and they had to make it kind of fit for what they were doing, right? Because the first one that he listened to was Awesome Mix 1, Volume 1, and this one was Awesome Mix Volume 2. And so still kind of the same time frame he would have come from. But, so that music choice. And so I enjoyed Guardians of the Galaxies too. And yep, go see it. Other than that, as I will try to wrap things up somewhat quickly here with mine, I have collected all the parts and pieces I need now for my Brock cosplay from Pokemon. Now I need to make said cosplay because time is rapidly running out, as I believe, it's about 2 weeks now before Anime North. And I have everything like down and around. I even got like blue shoes that he has kind of in it, or similar ones I now need to paint up a little bit, and like all just the little pieces I was after I've pretty much got hold of. I have a couple things I still need to make, and the main thing is just the vest with pockets on it and styling my wig. And so I'm going to try to spend time today, if I can not get lazy doing other things or otherwise distracted, as well as just each night this week get as much done as I possibly can, because I'm in crunch time now. So I have to get that done, but I have everything. I just have to work. And the final thing I wanted to bring up, because I was talking about Zenko Akko Cosplay and Undine and Matthew, is when I do talk to them, I'm also always amazed, surprised, and pleasantly informed about how talented these two people are. One of the things I first saw, I know the cosplay-wise, they're totally there and amazing. What was also interesting, though, is their regular lives. What they do is they're very professional about stuff they do, professional in the way they do things. Is they hosted a panel at the last anime convention about cloth and how to select the proper materials to make costuming and what to think about in those materials. It was their first panel they've ever done, and probably one of the single best panels I've ever been to at any convention. And it was both because they're a married couple, and so they just played off each other so well When one would stop conversation, the other one would fill in details and such. So it was just a very easy conversation between them with all information. Their enthusiasm was wonderful, and their professional skills came through in their slideshow presentation they had and their references. And the overall outline and theme of how they were presenting their information was very much like a well put together business presentation. And so I just like, this is phenomenal. Like, I don't think you guys understand how good this is. Well, I then, in talking to them yesterday, got introduced a few more things. Like I said, they're insanely talented people. Ondine's been doing stuff since she was a child, and she showed me she had an old VHS tape that had been put over to CD or DVD, and it was her, like, what was it? It was a stop-motion-esque / puppetry video that she and her brother had made when she was like 15 of the, you'll appreciate this, of the council in Lord of the Rings, the council of the Rings
Very cool.
And they did it with puppets and stuffed animals, and it was how do they call it? She named it like the Council of the Pond or something like that, because the main character they had, which was it was Elpond's council or something, was essentially a big frog puppet that was Elrond or such or something, like talking through, and she voiced and acted out the entire council scenes, and they did it all in one day, and the actual direction and cinematography of it fit the actual movie. Like all the scenes in it and stuff, and she just did this in the afternoon because she was bored. And with her brother, it came out surprisingly good. And there was a couple scenes that's funny because this is off an old camera, not digital type or anything. And so they had to just manually pause and start. And so no editing. It was all just done in a scene order, how they had to do it on the tape. And so it came across great. But there's a couple scenes where you can see that when they set the camera up, they were still like, you could see a bit of arm next to the puppet, and there's one or two that you see like Undine's eye right in the corner as she's trying to lead out of the frame.
That adds to it, I think, though.
But it's so good. It was so good. I told her, I was like, you need to post this on YouTube, and she was like, we probably will, because they're starting to branch out and like make themselves known more. Well, something I wanted to pass on to everyone, because it's not just all that, it's just they as a couple, as a group, are just phenomenal. When it comes to anime, I highly recommend checking out their WordPress site, which is akkoanime.wordpress.com. And I posted a link in the IRC for everyone. It's akkoanime.wordpress.com. One of the things they've done is they have taken the time to catalog almost every anime they've watched, which currently in their review list, anime list, they have watched a total, and this is not just individual episodes, but series, of 287 anime series. A total episode count of 7,323 episodes of anime that they've watched. And what I love about this is they go through and they provide their ratings on every one of them. Or as they get through, they keep adding their ratings. And in them...
What are they, coffee fanatics?
Well, so this is also why, by the way, I asked you for the link to it, because they do absolutely appreciate coffee and are at that same level, but have not documented the coffee love. At least Matthew is, and so I sent him the link to your spreadsheet so he can appreciate. Because Undine has also in the past worked in a tea room, and is that way with tea, and she served me some like smoked tea yesterday that tasted like you're like smelling like a campfire as you're drinking this nice black tea type thing. That was really tasty.
That's pretty cool.
So good. Yeah, so again, open up experience from all this. But I recommend everyone go check out their site if you're all into anime. I say this about the professionalism, and I don't know if you've checked it out, Ken, or if you look at their link. The way they set up the page it's so good. Like, I'm just like, this is just your blog, right? And yet, it's so well put together. And if you go to if you look at the anime list, if you click on the anime list at the top, it goes to their list and it shows their ratings, like stuff about it. And they actually have a thing that talks about how they rate them, the rating guide that they have. But it shows how many of the ones they've rated met each category.
This is how you should take a hobby. Like, hobbies should be taken to this level. I don't think it's weird. I think it's natural. This is great.
This is, yeah, and so if you look down, like some of them, like if you click on, they don't have them all linked yet, but as they write them, there's links. If you click on like Psychopath Season 1, under their masterpiece, the ones that he's rated, it takes you to their review of that anime. So it's not just that they've rated them. They have a well thought out, like multiple page in some case, review of each one of these. That is so well done. Like, we were just geeking. I was following this, and I was like, holy crud, you guys are ridiculous. And in a great way. So, I want to get this out there. You can subscribe to them if you want to, if you like the reviews, how they go through things, and email them and have conversations about it. They have wonderful, wonderful discussions about anime. They rate them all from a level that I have never experienced, and so I'm learning a ton just talking to them and sharing things. So, for those who are into anime, or as Ken likes to say, animu, check out akkoanime.wordpress.com. You may learn a few things. You may find some great things to watch yourself. So I wanted to pimp them much because they're an awesome couple. All right. So
Aww,
I think
that's nice.
I think that's all I have for my Geek Cred this week. Ken, how about you?
Sure, I've got a few things. So first of all, I've been thinking about like how I want to spend my slush fund recently, and different ways that one can spend their fun money. And I've been thinking about it. I was like, in the past, I've bought myself new guitars, new camera kit. I could buy it. Maybe I could consider eventually getting a new car or something like that. That would be nice. I've been kind of unsure as to what to go for. And I decided, you know what? Like, there's also home automation. That's pretty cool. So
yes, there's a lot you can do there.
Oh yeah, loads. I mean, I've got my my Amazon dot down here. By saying the word C, you know, PC. You know what the second word stands for? If I say that word, it'll activate the C. But I can't say it because it'll activate because it's right next to me. I gotta watch what I say around these computers, guys. It's the future.
They're listening to you.
They're always listening.
Yeah, watch out for computers and microwaves. They're watching you.
So yeah, I've got that there, and I was like, okay, how can I integrate more into this? And I discovered this amazing website. Okay, so before I go into that, actually, I'll explain it. But it is absolutely fantastic. I can't bump it more. But first, I also, I'm trying to log in at the same time here. I also got a new bit of kit for my car, which was really cheap. I got a it's a little mount for my phone, which just sticks to the window screen like normal mounts.
Yep.
No, just one of those. But normally these things have like little like hands attached to the side. But I noticed this one on Amazon said it was it was reduced by like 80% at the time, from like £50 down to like 15 or something crazy like that. And I was like, damn, man, that's a good thing. And secondly, yeah, it was also Bluetooth enabled, so it connects to your phone, and then it allows you to use Amazon Alexa.
Interesting.
Which is pretty sweet, right? I mean, it's a £14 little thing, unless you use your phone with Alexa. That was pretty cool, because Alexa, so far, to access it, you need to spend £50 plus, right? Like, so that was pretty cool. The only thing is, it runs on battery, so you do have to replace the battery once every 10 hours or so, which is a bit of a pain in the butt. And the voice recognition isn't the best. In fact, the thing that I like most about it is one that is magnetic, so whenever I go in, in fact, I'll show those in the video wall. My phone now has this little sticker. Well, I say sticker. It's a bit of metal I've stuck to the back of it. It's just got a sticky resin on it. It's perfect. It does not shift. It does not come off. It is right against there. I don't think I can get this off of a wire.
Yeah, it's amazing how strong those are.
So now when I go in my car, I'm no longer trying to fiddle with a little air vent thing and trying to fit it on, yada yada. Now I just go and just throw it on. I just slap it on there and just thump right against it. It will not move. It's great. It's really nice, and it's right in my field of vision. It's on the window, so I can always glance down at it really easily. The really cool thing about this, which is a little odd actually, if I think about it. One of the really cool things about this this little toy that I've gotten is that it has Alexa in it, but by default, when you talk to it, it doesn't use Alexa. It can open Alexa for you if you want to. You just start by saying Alexa, right? Or whatever keyword you've chosen. But by default, it's using its inbuilt stuff, which is the Bluetooth connectivity to your phone. So by default, you can be like, open maps, do this, do that, play this music, go to the next song. And the really cool thing that I really like is integrated with Facebook Messenger. So it reads out messages as I get them and emails as I get them and lets me respond via voice, and then it translates it to text and sends it back. So that while I'm driving, I can get Facebook messages, which is like extremely common here, right? That's basically all that I use is Facebook Messenger. So the fact that I can get that is incredulous to me. It's awesome. So I've been enjoying that. That's awesome. Now, with the Alexa integration, I was like, you know what, that's cool and all, but I don't really have much in the way of home automation available. So, you know, like, what's the point in it? Like, I like the idea that now when I'm driving home, if I had the home automation stuff, I could say in my car to my phone / speaker thing, I could say, hey, Alexa, put on the coffee machine, raise the garage door. You know, set the temperature, unlock the doors, whatever it is, right? It do all that sort of stuff. But I don't have that kit available yet. But I thought to myself, okay, I've got this car stereo mount thing that has Alexa in it, so I've got one device. I've got one in my home, which is the Alexa Dot, so I've got that. And I've also got my like 4 computers, like work ones and my own personal ones. And I've got my phone here. So I've got like 8 devices that can technically connect to each other. And I was like, surely there must be some mechanism for me to connect all these devices and use them together in some kind of way or another. And I found it.
Oh.
This is an amazing website. I cannot recommend it more. It is ifttt.com. ifttt.com. Very simple looking site, deceivingly simple. This is the future. What it is little scriptlets and applets that have been written for a variety of devices, websites, services, and so on and so forth. And it specializes in interconnectivity and doing neat things. Let me read out some of the stuff I've now turned on and applied that is now working fully. It checks in with my phone and it checks in with my calendar, and I've told it when my wife's birthday is, and on my wife's birthday it will send a message from my phone wishing her a happy birthday to her phone without me doing anything. He'll do it automatically. I've already written out the message, and it'll be that message that gets sent exactly on her birthday. 1 week before her birthday, I get a reminder telling me it's her birthday, which is a nice little thing. Every time there's a Steam holiday sale, I get a notification on my phone. My phone will now show a little notification saying there's a Steam sale on right now. Steam won't do that all the time, right? They'll just say there's a game on your wish list on sale. Yeah. No, I want to see what's actually a sale on so I can find games outside my wish list. I now get a notification because I'm guessing somebody else just, I don't know, someone set that up. I don't know how. I receive a notification on my phone when my Amazon Alexa timer goes off. Whenever I ask my Amazon Alexa devices what's on my to-do list, it will automatically send an email to my personal email telling me what I've got on my to-do list. By default, straight away. I don't need to do anything. It'll just do it. From me as well. It does it from my email address to myself, so it's secure. I can ask the computer, I almost said the word there. I can ask Amazon Alexa to silence or unsilence my phone. No problem. They'll just do it no matter where it is. So if I'm trying to find my phone, I can tell it to unsilence it, and then I can tell it to call it.
Oh, nice.
Right? How nice is that? I can just say that aloud in my home now. I can walk around and be like, hey, unsilence my phone, call my phone, and it'll do it. Whenever I add an item to my Alexa to-do list, it automatically syncs onto my Google Calendar as well, which is sweet. Okay, so that's this is like one section I've done so far. I've done like clock stuff and notification stuff. Now this is the Android stuff. Android specific stuff. Whenever my phone connects to any Wi-Fi, in my Google Drive, a spreadsheet gets updated telling me the details of the Wi-Fi, the password, the date and time that it happened, and it tracks it. So I can always see which Wi-Fi's I'm connected to. And so if anything ever happens or if I ever forget my details for anything, I can see it all there. It's just easily accessible. Whenever I connect to a Bluetooth device, my phone automatically starts playing music straight away, instantly, on that Bluetooth device. My wallpaper has been changing daily to whatever is the top rated post on our wallpapers on Reddit.
Oh, nice.
Just by default, every day. My Wi-Fi turns off when I leave home, but turns on when I get home. It just connects automatically, so it saves battery. When it's going to rain on that day, when it's going to rain or snow the next day, I get a notification the day before telling me it's going to rain or snow the next day on my phone. I also get told if the sun's getting too warm to go put on some sunscreen that morning. I've now set this one up with ShowX, so now whenever ShowX uploads a video to YouTube, it automatically gets shared to our Facebook page. Nice. Not to my Facebook page, but to the ShowX one, right? My Facebook and Twitter profile pictures are now in sync at all times. Just does it automatically. And I also have a separate script for the Wi-Fi thing, which is kind of similar. But it checks whenever I connect to EduRoam, which is the worldwide Wi-Fi for universities.
Okay.
And it tracks that as work time on a spreadsheet for me. So it tells me how long I spend each day at work. Because it just works out by how long I've been connected to Wi-Fi. There's loads more. Some really cool ones, and I've only scratched the surface. Some of the top ones here are on YouTube. Add songs from videos you like to a Spotify playlist by default, just straight away. You don't need to do anything; it'll do it for you. Archive all of your tweets to a spreadsheet. Receive NASA's image of the day in your email. Receive high notifications if there's high pollen counts in your area or where you are. Automatically back up the text you have on your phone to a Google spreadsheet. So if your phone gets destroyed or lost, you have all your SMS texts backed up by default. Mail me free games with Steam keys posted to our game deals. So whenever somebody posts up a free key, you get it straight away. What else? There's loads of things. Remind me to meditate every day. Mute my phone at bedtime. Again, email reminder for wedding anniversaries. Whenever I upload something onto Instagram, also put it on Facebook and Twitter for you. Just all these nice interconnectivity of different services, you know? It's just stuff that the no one service will do for you. Like, you'll never be able to tell Facebook to tweet on your behalf. It will never do it because it's a competing service. They will never have that. IFTTT does. It will allow that kind of connectivity. Next, if you want to make your own, or you're like, I like the idea of silencing when I get home, but not on Saturdays, for whatever reason, you can set that up, and you don't have to code. It does it for you. You just need to tell it in the options section. Really sweet bit of kit. If you play it, if you're a nerdy like me and you want to have this sort of interconnectivity of stuff, I can tell you it's incredibly useful if you actually look into it and dig a little bit deeper. You can do some crazy stuff. Admittedly, I think there's a bit more you can do with Android than iOS for obvious reasons. Like, again, if there's rain today, don't forget an umbrella. It'll tell you that. Tell you when your rent's due. You can have it automatically respond to certain people, but not others if you get a message on your phone. Like, all that sort of stuff, right? It's just all this kind of little mini scripts. It's so cool. IFTTT.com. Before we go any further, we've actually got an email that I'd like to read out.
Sure thing.
Unless you want to do it, sir. I've been talking for a fair bit. Would you like to grab it?
I can read the email. Yes, I can.
Sure.
All right, sir. It says, Hey, X-Men! Attended the second annual Steampunk Fest that happens just 4 blocks away from where I live. I could only hang out for a short time because of work considerations, but it's great to see it becoming bigger and hope it someday will be ginormous. Got to play with 4K resolution, 30,000 lumen projectors running fiber optic lines and can now say, show me the money. Spilled a glass of wine on my 2 27-inch monitors, and it now joins the place where Doc's cat has gone. Excuse for a new 46-inch 4K? Methinks so. This coming from our pal, Hando. Oh, geez. So, awesome on the steampunk thing. Saw some of your snaps and things from that, and they looked wonderful. And, yeah, those kind of projectors are amazing. Ken. The place where normally people like you would show off their manly, hairy chest.
True. Yes, as I used to very often, and then never got any responses. Please, listeners, I'm naked for you. Cool. Yeah, I'm in the mood for a 4K TV too. So please, if you do handle, let me know and tell me which one you get, etc. Because I am very much interested. Please tell me. It looks cool. 4K is the way forward. It's so sexy. Screw 3D. 3D's done. I'm bored.
More resolution will always be a better thing. And definitely. I was looking at. I see deals that come out here and there about 4K things. Now I'm still waiting for my monitor, which should be coming out soon, which will be a 27-inch 4K, 144 hertz gaming monitor. That'll probably be what I replace this with. And I'm just waiting for the day it comes down to enough price that I can get hold of it. Because while I do like the big curved ultra wide type things, I think for photo editing and stuff like that, having the precision of equal, normal size pixels and the perspective of it will be more than enough. And have the higher resolution for things like the show and stuff.
Yeah, it'll be nice.
On one screen should be really nice. And so I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, so I'm a big fan of 4K, as well as eventually I'd like to kind of change out my main television for 4K maybe, and possibly take my older nice TV and put it down here for doing like retro gaming or something. So we'll see. I have plans, but I can't do it yet. So, but yeah, no, very cool.
Keep us updated with that kind of thing, 'cause that is awesome. We love tech, and I'm sorry to hear about the death of your monitor, but hey, like you said, it may be an opportunity to upgrade, and who can complain about that, right? So good for you, sir. I finished the Night Manager, the TV show, and as I was saying last week, it is really good. It felt a little short, but they finished it like very nicely. I really can't have any complaints. So all I can say is check out. It's a great show. You need to watch this show if you're looking for something. The Night Manager. It's not something to watch while you're doing something else. It kind of requires you to pay attention because it's worth it. I've caught up with American Horror Story. I didn't say that. What did I catch up with? I didn't mean to type that. I said I caught up with American Horror Story. Oh, it's I took American Gods. That confused me. I don't know why I wrote that. It must have been on autopilot, and I started writing American. I was like, America TV show, American Horror Story. No, I caught up with American Gods. There's like 2 episodes out so far. I think another one comes out today or tomorrow. First episode is okay. It's not bad, but it's not great. The CGI is a little weird. I think it's more artistic than anything, I would say, but it's a little off. The second episode is more enjoyable. It gets better. So I'm hoping the third one's even better. There's a lot of really nice tension in the second episode, and I'm looking forward to learning more about the lore since I've not read the books about this. So that's cool. I've started watching a TV show. Like this is the one that I'm using at work as my sort of like...
sorry about that. Sam gave me a hiccup, and so I was trying to do things, but I forgot to turn the mic down before I hit play.
So yeah, Sense8 is on Netflix. It's my kind of go-to watch stuff while at work kind
That's
of
right.
thing.
Season 2 is out now.
Is it? Okay, yeah, I'm still on season 1, but basically the idea of Sense8, for those interested, is there are 8 people around the world who can all, for some reason, talk to each other through their minds, slowly but surely. They can do it more than that as well. They can visit each other telepathically. Like they're there. Like they see what that person sees around them. They can explore the area. They can touch and feel things, but it's basically based on that person's memory of what they've touched and felt nearby. And they can communicate and share thoughts and feelings and so on and so forth. Now, I feel just like many of Netflix's things recently, it is kind of pushing a certain agenda. A lot of it. Yeah, it is really pushing heavily on a certain agenda, which is funny to me because I actually really enjoy the characters and stuff. Like the male gay couple, I think they're awesome. Like I actually thought to myself, I want to be more like the intelligent dude, the intelligent gay dude. Like I think he's amazing. He just like a way that his lover described him as like having passion for everything and how it's just beautiful. And I was just like, man, I want to be like that. He does this great talent, and he sees clearly everything he speaks about. He's thought about it a lot before saying it, and I love that. I really respect that, and I want to be like him. Not the one of the main characters, the other gay one. He's kind of annoying actually because he's so emotional about everything. He gets like really angry, then he's really in love, then he's really into his acting, but it's all emotion, no logic, no thinking. It's just I'm just like, dude, calm down. It's all right. Just relax. There's also the whole lesbian, but not kind of lesbian in a way, transsexual couple thing. Yeah. Go on like crazy adventures while trying to stick it to the man, and it's just like, oh, okay. I like the characters, but again, calm down. You're unnecessarily pushing an agenda. If you just have transsexual lesbian couple as normal people who are not like trying to stick it to the man, it'd be fine. Like just make them human, right? They're not well, like technically they are, one of them is superhuman technically, but they're not like, you know, they're the world isn't out to get them. Don't portray it that way. The one thing they did really nicely, actually, I do have to commend them for this, is they had the transsexual's mother, who is against the fact that she is a transsexual. They had this sort of like moment where she's speaking to her transsexual daughter, saying, "It's like yes, I'm a big asshole who thinks that you should, this is an illness and yada yada yada, and you're not mentally correct and all this, but I still love you. And I kind of thought it was kind of nice, actually. It was kind of a shout out to the people who are anti-trans. The fact that they are still human, right? They still do think they don't just hate all transsexuals. They might still love them and stuff. They can. They do disagree, and clearly she's doing an evil thing in the show. She's trying to like hold the person down and force them to get effectively a lobotomy, etc. It's obviously wrong and horrible, but they showed it a human side, and that was kind of nice. They didn't just say, "Oh, look at the big bad evil person," like, "Oh, I hate what you've become." It was just no, I love you. I want to try and support you, and that's why I'm doing it this way. It gives a little bit more to the character. It's no longer just this 2D character. It's like it's actually behind love is behind it, and it's nice. So I have to give them that. However, just calm down with the rhetoric. Just a little bit. Just calm it down a little bit. Unnecessary.
Well, yeah. The key is just that Sense8's a great series. I enjoyed it. There are scenes and parts in it that just make it kind of like, what's this have to do with the actual plot?
Yeah.
And yes, where you say it seems like you're just trying to push not just an agenda, but like multiple agendas at once, where it can become a bit distracting compared to just the overall story being told. And so I liked Sense8. I'm curious about season 2. I haven't started watching it yet.
Yeah, I just had a look all around online. People have kind of similar things to say about it, actually. They're saying that there are some cringy scenes, but the cinematography on it is absolutely beautiful.
Oh yeah, it's very well made.
The characters are all interesting. I feel like there's a slight new, so there's always been this sort of Asian stereotype or archetype of like, oh, I'm really good at kung fu, right? Like that's just been as age old, right? They kind of have that, but it's like the new version of it is, oh, it's an Asian woman who doesn't appear to be kung fu girl, but she is. Like that. Well, what else was that in? It was in a freaking Iron Fist. Iron Fist is the exact same thing, right? The second main character is like this Asian lady who's like, oh, she's just a normal Asian lady. No, wait, she's like super kung fu. She's so kung fu. You have no idea. It's just this like, okay, calm down. That's basically my main point with the show is just like, just take a chill pill. It's all right, relax. But I am enjoying it. I just need to calm the rhetoric a little bit. And finally, I've been playing some Factorio, and that's not particularly interesting. Sir, what have you? Do you have anything else you'd like to bring up, or have you covered everything?
I think that's everything for what I've been doing with that.
Cool.
I mean, so really, it goes on with a little bit of time that we can actually talk about a little bit of news. Since we're already into the music part of that, we can sit there and say
Technology, news, and more today on the Geek-O-Scope.
And one that I thought you would appreciate, Ken, is a quick video I saw and some discussion that came out talking about one of the games I know enjoy, which goes forward is called Payday 2, is going to head to VR later this year.
Have you seen the video?
I have seen the video, and being that I follow things VR and love my Oculus, they show a video of Payday 2 being played from a first-person VR perspective. And in it, they've showed a UI where it's like a 1-minute video taking place in Payday 2 where you can shoot your guns with one hand or both. They have UI elements on your guns for ammo, as well as activities that you can participate in, like looking at your wrist to see what your objectives are, things like that. It doesn't show like how to access your inventory or anything, but it shows like interacting with things. I saw interacting with the world, where you just hold your hand kind of over something in the world, and it eventually activates it. So picking locks, picking up cash or items and things like that, gesturing for people to get down on the ground and things like that. All VR, which looks really neat. Another thing they showed in it that you'd be able to play co-op with people that aren't in VR. So it looks like it'll tie into the original game.
Nice.
Which sounds very interesting. As well as potentially, and the one question I have with it is movement when you're in VR. Because
that's the tough thing, right?
Well, there's a few games I've played where you kind of move with a controller, but that can be awkward. This one, since you're using the hand controllers, I can see using the thumbsticks kind of thing, or things like that to provide motion, because this isn't a game that would relate well or make sense with the warping kind of movement that's used in things like Robot Recall and such, which works very well and doesn't cause you to get nauseous or walk out of your play area or anything like this. And so I'm not sure how that will work. But otherwise, I'm actually pretty excited for this because I know I've had pretty good aim shooting in VR games. And so thinking things like being a little more precise with some of your guns to peeking around corners or things like that, just other things that you could probably do in Payday with the VR mode. I'm really curious to see what happens with this. And so that's something I saw just come through the gaming news feed recently I thought was very interesting. As well as if you already own Payday 2, I think you get it for free.
Oh, really? That's cool. I like that. So the next one I've got is actually a video that I recently shared on the Facebook page. In fact, I shared it like 10 minutes ago from Unilad. So, interestingly enough, the Mass Effect series has been announced as being put on ice. And this is because after the extremely poor reception of Andromeda, right, which was just mainly because the graphical errors more than anything. But BioWare Montreal are now a support studio only.
Oh, wow.
But there's... Yeah, which is crazy. But they're saying Mass Effect's not dead. It's on hiatus while EA works on other titles, which is fine because it kind of needs a break anyway. A lot of BioWare Montreal staff have moved over to EA Motive to make Battlefront 2, which is good as well because Battlefront will need good people. It's also likely there won't be any story DLC for Andromeda, which is, again, not particularly surprising to me. Though EA recently said they're very happy with Mass Effect and future expectations for the franchise are still strong. Don't know how I feel about that, but I'm happy that they recognize their faults because they really did screw up, right? They had a really horrible launch. Again, Mass Effect 1 had better graphics than the most recent Andromeda, at least with humans. Yeah, it was scary bad, right? I mean, like... I've seen lots of comparisons of people's like side projects that they've done on facial expressions and movement and stuff, and how like a kid in his spare time spending like 5 hours, 6 hours on a project can make something really pretty, and then this like AAA developer with extremely high paid staff and handpicked from the best around the world makes a pile of steaming crap, right? It was just like, how? Like, did you not do user testing? Did you not see that people are unhappy with this? Why would you keep it? What is wrong with you? It was really dumb. So I'm glad they're kind of getting some hit back from this, because while the game may be good and the story may be enjoyable and whatever else, right, the gameplay may actually be fun, if you play it and it looks like you're playing with characters that are like made up of like a bag of scrunched up hot dogs, what's the freaking point, right? Like, it doesn't even feel like you're playing a real game anymore. So they can really break immersion, that kind of stuff. I'm not saying bad graphics ruin it. I'm not saying unintrinsic or undetailed. Like your graphics don't need to be amazing, right? It's okay if they're not. My point is simply that they need to not be crap, right? That's kind of the main thing here. And again, Mass Effect, I think, is kind of one of those things that should have died a long time ago. After the end of Mass Effect 3, where everybody was unhappy with the ending anyway, I think that would have been a good finale for the Mass Effect series anyway. Say bye-bye. Okay, we caught you just as you went off the end, so that's that. Let's move on with our lives. But no.
Dude, franchises, people can't let them die. Once they start getting paid for stuff and make money, it's like, oh, let's make another one of those, another one of those, another one of those. I understand it. I recommend against it now. Sir, what have you got? So something that was kind of interesting as of late, and for those who are big Blizz followers and fans, this coming in from Kotaku, which meh, but it talked about just last week essentially that 5 pro gaming teams have dropped Overwatch in 1 week.
Oh, geez.
So it's been a gnarly handful of days for the professional Overwatch scene. Since last Tuesday, 4 organizations have dropped their Overwatch teams, citing a lack of certainty about Blizzard's upcoming Overwatch League and potentially prohibitive costs they'll have to pay in order to join. Today, esports organization Complexity bid farewell to the Overwatch team with a statement, quote, "Anticipation of Blizzard's upcoming Overwatch League and an uptick in mainstream esports attention means that now more than ever, we have to be confident we're making the best investments in each game. The decision to part ways with long-term members of our organization is never one that we take lightly, but ongoing roster instability has resulted in inconsistent performances in an already narrow field of events." They also added that the formal team will be able to continue using Team House facilities for 2 months so as to, quote, provide what sense of stability that we can. So they're not the first to release an Overwatch team in the past 7 days. Team Solo Mid backed out on May 5th. Let's see. One of the players, Blam Force, said that just putting the finishing touch on their player roster, but claimed that the cost of entry into Overwatch League is too steep for TSM to go all in right now, as well as several others. So kind of an interesting tidbit out there for esports, because we know it's something that continues to grow and get bigger. And there's been a lot of deals being made to try to get things like on actual television networks and such, so there's a lot of potential money to be had. But what's going
That's always
on?
a good thing.
You know, it is for us as fans to have more to watch and more things to kind of experience, but in a way, is it getting too corporate? You know, and that's kind of just a overall buzzword that you can link to being evil in some form. But in that, like they said, costs going up so that teams are now feeling like it's prohibitive for them to join. You know, is that something that is necessary to keep this running? Because there's a ton of like money in the success of these things. Or is this some arbitrary thing that companies are putting in there to, I don't know, show that teams are serious? I don't know what the point would be.
I have never felt any... I don't know why. I've always had this suspicion in the back of my mind that I have never trusted Overwatch. It's something about it just makes me think, I don't think it's going to last. I don't think it's going to last. And I've always thought it. And I've always thought, it's silly. I mean, like, it's doing so well. Why would I think this? But this makes me think maybe I was kind of right. I don't know why. I've just always got the suspicion that I feel like it was kind of a hollow game. I've never even played the damn thing, so I can't really say anything. But I've always just had the suspicion that I just always thought it was just half-assed and kind of just pushed out by Blizzard. I feel like the game type has kind of been dead for a while now. The Team Fortress 2 sort of arena, I don't know, that old school cartoony but kind of fun but simple mechanics based game, I feel like it's just been gone for a while, and I think we've moved on to more complex things, and I was happy about that. And then this came out and I thought, well, you know what, Blizzard is known for taking an old idea and making it more polished, so perhaps they're going to do it well, but we'll wait and see. And this hasn't filled me with confidence, this whole announcement. I don't feel like I can safely say that Blizzard will come out on top of this. I think little things like this it might be enough to topple a giant, because it doesn't take much, right? One bad bit of press can make thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of players stop playing, because if they think that the MLG thing is leaving, a lot of people play for that, right? They play because they want to one day do it. It's a dream they have, even if it's realistic or not. A lot of people will play for those reasons. So it's kind of sad. I have a very mini article before I do another one, if that's okay, sir.
Yep.
It's actually out from kickassfacts.com, and it's something, one of these, I hate these kind of websites normally, but this is quite an interesting one. Jermaine Fuller, who was the singer of Peanut Butter Jelly Time, I don't know if you remember that, but that was...
Peanut Butter Jelly Time, Peanut Butter Jelly Time, Peanut Butter Jelly Time, Peanut Butter Jelly, Peanut Butter Jelly, Peanut Butter Jelly with the baseball bat. Yep, yep.
Yeah, nice.
No,
nice.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
But back in the day, that was like the cool thing to share, right? It was originally posted to the off-topic forums in early 2002, and I remember this being spread on Newgrounds. Yeah, which it says here, March 21st, 2002 on Newgrounds, on knowyourmeme.com. I remember this being shared around because that was when I was like exploring the funny websites online even back then, and it was one of the earliest memes, right? It was one of the earliest shared memes that I still remember to this day, and here's a little bit of trivia about it that I thought was really interesting. Jermaine Fuller, the singer behind that song, died in a 11-hour police standoff in 2002. During which time his brother-in-law Snoop Dogg attempted to calm him down and surrender.
Oh, wow.
I had no idea, but that guy died apparently shortly after that was released. So that same year that the song was released, that guy who sang it died in a police shoot-off over 11 hours. That's crazy. I had no idea. So again, that's a mini article.
Okay.
Another very mini one, actually, because I don't think there's much more to say about it other than pretty much the title, and I don't really want to read the article considering this. Minecraft have now announced 2 days ago that they are now... The game is now available on Switch. It comes with some extra worlds, skins, and the Super Mario mashup pack. So, you know, all that stuff that used to be free, you can now get that paid content for free on the Switch, but you still got to pay for everything else because you're not on PC. Even though on PC you still need to pay now because they've now got that marketplace, right? Which I abhor. But there you have it. It is available, right? So it's now available on Switch, which is nice. And it's still got a ridiculous number of players, Minecraft, right? It's not as if it's stopped being popular suddenly. It is still a supremely popular game. And so it should be. The original concept is fantastic, and it set off that whole genre of, like, building games, right? We always had SimCity and stuff, but we never had, I don't know, Terraria, Minecraft itself, 3,000 survival-based craft games on a Steam Greenlight, right? In fact, probably more than... Funnily enough, that's probably not enough. It's probably more than 3,000. There are hundreds of thousands of these games being produced, just because Minecraft itself kicked it all off. Even The Forest, I think, was partly because of like Minecraft and the likes. That sort of survival element from it. Best of luck. I really hope they move away from this annoying paid model that they have, but who knows? We'll see. And that's my 2 mini bits of news. Sir, what you got?
Alrighty, let's see. There's some older stuff here and there that I had picked up. One that I don't know if people were following from a little ways back, but it is talking again about kind of internet and bandwidth and such. But this one came from Gamasutra a little while back, talking about New York suing Time Warner, the internet provider, over throttled League of Legends speeds. So for those who might have missed it, this came out back in February. A lawsuit filed by New York Attorney General Eric T. Schneiderman alleges that Time Warner Cable, now known as Spectrum, following a merger with Charter Communications, deliberately misled consumers about internet speeds they could expect from service. According to Polygon, Spectrum falsely advertised the internet speeds customer could expect while paying for the 300, 200, 150 megabit per second plans, all while leasing out hardware that couldn't actually handle those promised speeds. It says, but what's especially damning in the lawsuit says Spectrum deliberately bottlenecked internet speeds for streaming and online gaming until companies like Netflix and Riot agreed to pay extra for access to Spectrum customers. The 87-page document outlining the allegations includes data gathered by Riot showing that Spectrum subscribers in New York experience greater latency when playing League of Legends than players using other New York-based ISPs between September of 2013 and August of 2015.
Dun, dun, dun.
Spectrum didn't agree to connect the necessary ports and offer the interruption and lag-free gaming experience advertised to its customers until Riot agreed to pay for access that August, after which service improved. All of that spirals into larger claims made by Schneiderman about how Spectrum knowingly advertised connection speeds that it did not and could not actually deliver. Spectrum subscribers typically receive between 15% and 58% of the speed they actually promised over a wireless connection. That's significant. The suit itself was filed in February seeking damages for affected Spectrum subscribers and implores Spectrum to produce records of and, quote, disgorge all money generated from both the fraudulent and illegal practices alleged within the complaint. So, why I thought this is important to note is that especially in an environment in the United States, let alone anywhere else where ISPs aren't doing their job of just being ISPs, this goes back to the whole concept of net neutrality and the idea that companies should not be allowed to focus how you get your bits. When you pay for access, you're just paying for access, and that they should just let the internet flow. I'm a big proponent of that concept. I believe everybody has their own use cases on the internet, and you shouldn't have to find either a tailored program that you subscribe into or have to have additional, fees paid for by companies online to get your data in a timely fashion. That's not the role of the ISP. They should just give you data. And so this is a prime example of exactly what net neutrality fights against, which our current FCC lead in the United States is trying to kill, because he came from Verizon, who is an ISP, and wants to be able to support companies like ISPs making more money off of you and not just providing the service, which I'm personally against. So just a heads up to people that think that net neutrality doesn't matter and how could it possibly affect you. Well, as a gamer, right there is an example of how it could affect you and why there's a lawsuit. And the sad part is if the FCC chair goes forward with what they're trying to do, you won't have any recourse. You'll just have to suffer through it. And since we're not in markets that have real selection of different opportunities, real competition, you may be stuck just paying for a lot of stuff you don't get. And so, yeah, I am not a fan. So, yeah.
Fair.
And
fair.
there's one that followed up with it that I wish I had listed here, but it was talking about the FCC chief just recently coming off and trying to be funny and do a bad tweets kind of thing because they had opened up people's responses for his basically trying to kill net neutrality, and how there's a thing where he came out and most of the responses were very negative. I think it was one of the late night show hosts. It wasn't Stephen Colbert, but I think it was late night with who's the British guy? I think he did it, but whomever it was, one of the late night show comedians, put out a post basically saying, here's a link to the website, an easy way to comment and provide your feedback to what the FCC is doing. At which point they, like, the next day flooded it with like 300,000 comments on bugger off, leave net neutrality alone.
Nice.
And all these comments in there where the chair came back and read a bunch on, like, us fake things, and it's mostly ones that were inappropriate, people calling him out on his race, on what his allegiances are, and things like that, which aren't part of the real argument. And he was trying to be funny, but it came off very douchey and very much like, I don't give a crap what your responses are, I'm doing what I want. And which I'm not surprised with.
Classy. Nice.
Yep, exactly. So I keep saying, we've talked about little things, politics here or there, little tidbits without getting too deep. I'm not focusing on even like the easy targets like the president and ridiculousness that he does on a daily basis. This is the people who are actually making decisions that will affect your everyday life now, and saying, pay attention to all the cabinet members and the people in charge of the different things and the decisions they're making, Congress, stuff like that, because at least from a technology perspective, I don't see how anyone out here who isn't an ISP or somehow going to make money off of how they screw their customers wouldn't be in favor of keeping the net neutrality rules that are in place. So that's my thought.
No, it's completely valid, sir. I agree with you. Yes, it is the end of the show. So I shall assume, unless you're going to disagree with them, I misinterpreted you. You have been listening to Show X on VTWRussians.com. We really appreciate that. That's a big thing to us that you guys listen. I don't know. I haven't actually talked to you about this recently, Wayne, but I've noticed that our downloads have actually spiked recently, the past couple weeks. As has our live listenership. I must just be the summer season. I don't know what it is, or maybe people just been sharing to their friends like we asked, and we really, really appreciate that, guys. That's awesome. Do tell your friends. Do ask them to download. I think in the past week we had 800 and something downloads, which was pretty cool. For 1 week, that's nice, right? This is returning to some of the numbers that we had a long time ago. So that's very much appreciated. Thank you for that, folks. So you've listened to Show X on VTWRussians.com. You can check us out on Twitter.com/ShowX, Twitter.com/DocDead, and Twitter.com/GoX for the show, for Mr. Wayne and for myself. You can email us at showx@VTWProductions.com. Send us in your emails. Tell us what you've been up to with your Geek Cred, and any funny stories or any answers to the questions we were asking earlier in the Ask Reddit section. You can check us out on patreon.com/showx. That's another way to support us if you don't want to tell your friends because you're embarrassed heavily by the amount of fart jokes and the amount of racism that we discuss and feminism and other political issues. You don't want to tell your friends that you listen to this crap. I understand, man. I understand. Instead, you can give us $1 a month. We would appreciate that. Or more. But, $1 is the tiniest you can do. But you know what? $1 from 20 people adds up to $20 a month, right? So even $1 a month, incredibly useful, right? Patreon.com/showx. Much obliged. You can also check us out on Facebook. Search for ShowX there. We both share like recent news and funny stuff there, and memes and so on. So do check us out there. It's just ShowX on Facebook. You can just search it and find us. Otherwise, our contest I should probably give a shout out to. I actually extended it till next month because we've got a good number of contestants taking part, but I feel like it's too late in the month now to actually host another one for only like 2.5 weeks. And so I've just extended this one. So you've got until the 1st of June. I can't believe it's that late in the year to go take part in this one. Please do. We could do it with even more people. Why not, right? Tell your friends. If you have any artsy friends, they'd love to take part and get some free shout outs to the world. You've listened to Show X on VTWRussians.com. Thank you for listening to the show, and thank you for having me, sir.
Always great to have you. Thank you for bringing up the show. And for anybody who's interested in playing games and hanging out, check out the TeamSpeak right after the show for the gaming night. I will show up, but will likely be crafting as I have a lot of work to do, but we'll see. All right, so we will catch you all again next week. And please take a moment, celebrate your mothers, tell them how much you love them, and have a very happy Mother's Day. We will catch you all again. Which you could still celebrate your mothers, just not officially on today. And so, I said celebrate. I didn't say anything dirty. And so,
What?
you gave a look. You gave a look. You were like, why would we do that
I was
here?
just making a, I'm an asshole kind of joke. You were like, and then you made a incest with your mother joke.
Hey, you're the one who made weird looks on your face. Anyhow, we're out of here on that note. But we will talk to you again next week, guys. Thanks a lot. And continue to tell your friends. All right, we are out of here.
Goodbye. See you in the next zombie. Good night. Also, guys.